limited AI image.
But the Haste Club, we're here for the live stream of Rocket Lab's 65th Electron launch. Guys, it's a back-to-back stream. First time I've done it. Do you know what? If I start drifting off in the middle of the stream, you'll know why. It's, 11:30 here. Back-to-back live streams. Do you know, Chris, I said it to you just before the stream. I'm starting to get even more respect for you. Going solo on a stream is fairly hard. I said it to both of you before this. When we normally stream, my mind's normally running further on in the conversation. I'm looking down at the comments, seeing what you guys are saying, trying to tie in some of the information into it. And you know, as a solo, it's pretty hard when you're looking at your own face, looking back at you, and you don't know what comment's coming next.
Yeah.
No.
Try doing it live on a kayak. Then we can talk. Yeah, it's not easy. It's but you know, it's fun, especially if you know the subject, you know what you're talking about. It really just turns into a conversation with community, and that's what makes it fun, really. You're not stressed about having to be 100% right on every number and every fact. You're just sitting back and, you know, like I said, sometimes actually just enjoying the river, being on the kayak and having a conversation with people just interested in the same kind of stocks and investments that you are.
Yeah, guys, again, thank you for joining us so early on. We will be streaming the launch live. What I'm going to do, I'm going to flick back to our three faces because there's no point looking at a Rocket Lab stream. That's just doing a countdown. But do you know what? We have about an hour to the launch, so why not just get straight into it? And we'll talk a little bit about Rocket Lab. We'll talk a little bit about our day. We'll sort of talk about investing in general. I know Francisco actually sent us quite a bit of information. It's great to have him back. Quite a bit of information for us to deep dive into and sort of like come up with our own ideas around the subject. But what I first want to start off with is it's a little bit strange because you don't normally get this on streams. But Dylan, how was your day today? Because you know what? I want to know.
Thanks, Liam. You know, today it was a great day. So again, the average investor still has the 9 to 5. So got up. It's a Monday. Can't believe it's still Monday, but yeah, started the Monday work day and was able to spend some time. Well, actually, got to spend some time live with you, which was awesome. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity for that. It was always cool to talk about anything in the investment space with you, and you know, getting to see my son and getting to eat some dinner with him. And honestly, for me, as a newer one in the Rocket Lab, I'm actually really excited for this launch. So even if some have seen this before, me as the newer one to really coming in live, and it's not even for me so much about the success or failure of what happens to my stock portfolio tomorrow. I'm just really excited to see this launch and be here with you guys. So it's been a great day.
Hey, Dylan, is this your first Rocket Lab launch?
If I'm being transparent, on the Rocket Lab side, this would be the first from beginning to end. I've seen some clips, but yeah, Chris, this is the first one.
Oh, that's awesome. We're gonna have fun then. That's awesome. He's a virgin, guys. He's a virgin.
That's right.
We got a new one. That's awesome.
Cracking it today.
guys, please let me know, how many launches have you watched? Have you watched them ever since they started the Electron program, or have you been following them for, well, I don't know, a year, 2 years? Or look, again, is this one of your first launches? I really would love to know. I know some of you guys from eVTOL Weekly have joined us here today because I more or less said at the end of the stream, why not come and watch a rocket launch with us? Whether you're investing in Rocket Lab or not, it'll be fun to watch anyway, and we're going to have a good time while we do it. Chris, what were you up to today? Were you looking at the market? Were you working? Were you out kayaking? What were you doing?
The kayaking. I took today off. I know it's Monday, and I should be working, but we've had a lot of rain, man, and we haven't had a lot of nice days. And so yeah, I just kind of played hooky. I napped in the middle of the day.
Nice,
I took a nap.
nice.
Yeah, it's one of those days. It was my Sunday that most people have. Uh, I work usually 6, 7 days a week unless it's raining or unless I'm doing something with my daughters. So I have to sneak those days in. Sometimes it's a random Wednesday. It just depends. But yeah, I don't tell anybody. I don't call anybody. I turn my phone off. And just take a day to myself. You got to recharge.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
honestly, you have to just take a step back sometimes, especially, look, you're going through this project. You're a family man yourself. You run your own business. The amount of information you provide on this project alone is insane. You're active on X constantly, so I'm not surprised. A man deserves a break sometimes. Zed Stacker, great to have you here. Zed Stacker was in eVTOL Weekly. I don't know why the comments have gone so big today. I'll fix that throughout the stream while I get you guys talking. But Zed Stacker said, I used to watch them on Matt's channel, but I haven't really been keeping up. Well, I know some of the guys do find it a little bit hard, especially some of the launches from New Zealand, because it really does play havoc with some of you guys in the US when it comes to times. This one ain't too bad, but we had Chris on the last one at 3 o'clock in the morning. I actually felt sorry for the guy because he was up at work at 5. So, like, look, that shows commitment. But we do promise we will stream every single Rocket Lab launch that we can. I believe we should be able to stream them all that are publicly available. I know some of the Haste launches we can't stream, but
Well, we will do some out of Wallops. We can't. We're not most. The majority of the Haste launches are classified, and we don't find out till the day after. But they do announce the Electron launches, and they launch other stuff out of there. I mean, I'm a rocket geek, so it doesn't always have to be a Rocket Lab launch for me to want to go see a rocket. But they're only 4 hours away from me, and Dylan and I have already talked. I have talked with Johnny Mac and Francisco, and as much as we're excited about what Neutron's going to do, Electron's pretty cool to watch as well. So we are going to start making a few trips out to Wallops and just going live right from Wallops. That'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait for those.
Yeah, and I kind of want to get into a little bit about the mission today. So it's with BlackSky, and it's for a Gen 3 satellite. Look, they're aiming to have about 30 of these satellites in their constellation, but look, they're constantly upscaling. I think they have something like I need to double check. I don't know, is it 230 or 430 million deal with some of their customers, and they need to get a bigger constellation. This is great for Rocket Lab because BlackSky more or less focus on geo mapping. Look, it's another tool to Rocket Lab's bow. Rocket Lab, I think what some people don't realize is we don't only get the revenue from this launcher. The majority of these components are Rocket Lab built. So then instills this end-to-end concept that Peter Beck has. And we know it's getting more and more end-to-end. Chris, I want to throw this one to you. I know Peter Beck has not really downplayed, but we know, like, I don't know, Planet Labs are looking at mapping. And I don't think it's a major focus on them. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's a major I couldn't see a Rocket Lab specific constellation in a massive way. I could see them doing it, but I couldn't see it being their priority to just go along with geomapping or your conventional, what you'd believe satellites are used for. What do you think?
That's an interesting question. A lot of us have been speculating what Rocket Lab's constellation is going to look like, what their main purpose for the constellation is going to be. There's been some hints here and there, and there's a lot of good arguments to be made. And as much as you guys know me, I'll throw out some crazy conspiracies and speculate, and I'm still lost on this one. But no, I don't think. I mean, what BlackSky is doing, there's a need for it. Obviously, there's money to be made in there, but it's a lot smaller sector and a lot smaller need overall as far as a need for a large constellation like we're talking about in comparison to like a Starlink. We're looking at, I think, a total of 12 launches for BlackSky. Might be 10, 12. I think this is number 10. We got 4 scheduled this year. This is number 2. I believe that would be the end of that contract, is a total of 12. Yeah. And so you're not talking about a very large constellation for BlackSky. But Rocket Lab, I do believe whatever it is that they're building is going to be much larger than a 12 satellite, 18 satellite, whatever it is, constellation. But no, I haven't. That's a good question. That's a really good question. I'm sure people in chat probably know a lot more about that end on it. I have, for whatever reason, I haven't avoided the Flatellite news, and it's me. I've been stuck on Haste for so long. Yeah. It's the next thing on my list to really get into. It doesn't help that Francisco's going MIA on X, and I don't have him to bounce the ideas off of. But yeah, no, it's a great question. I really like it. But like I said, there's probably people in the chats right now listening that know a lot more about that aspect than I do.
Yeah, and then Dylan, I know you're a relatively new investor in Rocket Lab, so I don't want to bombard you with a question like that. Sure. But what I want to ask you would be, look, as a new investor into Rocket Lab, if Rocket Lab were to make, so look, they're looking at making a constellation. Really, would you like to see Rocket Lab make a constellation like a military sort of style or a Starlink type of sort of thing? Or would you like a conventional, the likes of a geo mapping, what BlackSky are doing? Would you like to see that happen? Or would you prefer it to be like a more of a hasn't been done before, or a tried and trusted method?
I think that's a really good question, actually. And on it, I think I'd honestly, not to just play the middle, but I would take a bit of both angles on it. Okay. When Chris was talking about the BlackSky mission and the launch today, for me as a newer investor, what I think continued success with the Electron rocket would be is showing other potential clients of Rocket Lab the success capabilities that Rocket Lab has. So to me in that, I think that the continued success, even if these are smaller scale programs or launch missions, are continuing to build what could be a future order book for Rocket Lab. So then kind of with that, to go to the other part of the middle, I would actually go with a little bit more of shooting towards that moon and maybe taking on some of those projects that have not yet been able to be accomplished, and whether that's through certain space defense satellites or anything of the sorts that just really hasn't been able to be done by a company such as Rocket Lab or really a competitor, and putting Rocket Lab really in first place to take that opportunity.
Yeah, and it kind of brings me on a little bit to some of the news that Francisco was sharing with us. And we've sort of deep dived into it. I'm going to bring up some of the articles here, and we can sort of like go through them together because we still have 43 minutes until Rocket Lab starts streaming themselves. But yesterday we were talking a lot. So anyone that's not here, we were talking a lot about energy storage and where we could see that going, or quantum computing in space, where we could see that going. But there's been some interesting developments over the last week. And again, do you know what? I felt like I was just getting my mind on top of it yesterday when Chris absolutely not bombarded me with information. Well, you did bombard me with information, but you got me like really, really thinking, Chris. And then Francisco, about an hour later, went and done the exact same thing to me with a different style completely. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen here. So the first thing I want to say is you're going to wonder why I'm bringing up China's nuclear stockpile, which includes the Gram killer missiles fastest growing globally. So really what it is, China is increasing their nuclear capability. Yeah, they're nowhere near the amount that the US have. However, it kind of backs up. I'm not saying that China would go after the US, but what it is you're getting these countries increasing their nuclear arsenal, and it kind of instills the need for this Golden Dome project, and also instills the need for Haste, and as a fundamental part of the US government. So we've spoken about Haste, and we've said we travel about Mach 22 to 25, depending on your payload on it. This one, the fastest, if not the fastest, Chris will let me know, hypersonic rocket on the planet. Rocket Lab, this is not great news for the world because, look, I don't want to get political at all, and we're going to move away pretty quickly from this thing. But the reason I brought this up is because it instills the need for the Golden Dome in the US. It instills the need for hypersonic vehicles and an increased need for a defensive style constellation up on geostationary orbit, or even low Earth orbit. But Chris, I want to jump across to you. Do you agree with me? This is, look, none of us like to talk about negative news, but for the world, this is not great news. However, for the likes of Haste, this is pretty handy. This is nice news for Haste.
You're right. And the funny thing about Francisco, he'll send, normally he never just sends one article. He'll send, it's like an onion, you got to peel it out. He'll send 2 or 3 articles, and once you kind of read through all of them and you put it all together, it builds a, it kind of paints a bigger picture. And again, I start off with the same thing. Thanks. I'm not going to give out information, but thanks to the person that sent this to me today, and so that I could contact or communicate with Francisco. I really appreciate it. But yeah, there is already a need. China is ahead, and to answer your question, I'm not positive, but I actually believe that China's hypersonic missile is very close and possibly faster than Rocket Lab's.
Okay.
Hypersonics, the company Hypersonics out of Australia, they're doing amazing things with theirs, but Rocket Lab is actually working with Hypersonics. And then you have Kratos as well. They develop hypersonics. Again, another company that Rocket Lab is working with, hand to hand. And I do believe Kratos is another company that will probably see some contracts come to them from the Golden Dome project because of what they do. And I can see Rocket Lab working. They're already getting, they're already working together now. They already have. Yeah, they've got some Haste launches. They've already been contracted for, and I can see that building, like you said earlier. Yes, you get a smaller contract, like Liam was saying. You get a smaller contract with a smaller company. Yes, Rocket Lab builds on that. They believe in heredity. Peter Beck speaks about heredity a lot. Um, you build a relationship with a client. Well, that client's going to continue on and continue forward as long as they're successful. Well, why would they go and jump to another company and go, hey, I'm going to let you launch my stuff now. Now, BlackSky has launched with SpaceX as far as going up and not getting the exact location they want. When you go up with SpaceX, it's ride share, so you might not get the orbit that's perfect. But you're not going to really go too far away from the ones that's doing it time after time, successful mission after successful mission. And these usually when they get the bigger contracts, when you get in the 8 to 12 to 18 satellite launches, you're getting a discount on top of it. So it's great for both partners. And yes, those kind of things are going to continue. And again, back to the article. Sorry, I went a little off there, but back to the article. That's just one of 3 that Francisco sent over. And we get into the other ones. I think we'll be able to tie a lot more of this stuff together. So a lot of what I'm saying now makes a lot more sense.
Now, before I jump into the next article, what I want to do is I want to say hello to Dylan's little man over there.
Oh,
I want to give him a big shout out because this man does taekwondo. And
that's awesome.
I want everyone to jump into the comments and give him a big shout out. I'm not going to say his name just because that's not for me to share out. But
oh, you're too sweet, Liam. You're too sweet.
Right.
He was asking for daddy, so I had to let him in for a few minutes. But back to the lab, back to the launch.
Yep. So then I want to jump into the next one, yeah? So it ties in again with what we were talking about yesterday. And again, we got to thank our big researcher on our team, Francisco. So, powerful US military laser fires 800-watt beam over record breaker in 5.3 miles. And this is what I was talking about the last day. So we can convert the likes of solar energy in space at the efficiency of 10 times the power in comparison to down here on Earth per unit area. But what it does then, we need to convert it into either microwaves or we convert it into laser. And then the hard thing about that then, you don't only have to get it down through the atmosphere, but you then have to have a receiver on the ground. But no, let's talk about this. So the US Defense Advanced Project Agency, which you all know as DARPA, has achieved the major milestone of wireless energy transmission. This is what we're talking about. The agency claims it's set in new records in its latest campaign under the President's Optical Laser Energy Relay, which is the POWER program. The test demonstrated the successful delivery of 800 watts of power during a 30-second laser transmission for 5.3 miles, which is 8.6 kilometers away in New Mexico. So throughout the campaign, more than a megajoule of energy was transferred using advanced optical power technology. According to DARPA, the breakthrough marks a significant step developing long-range wireless energy solutions for defense and other critical applications. But how does this tie into Rocket Lab and the defensive side too? Yeah, guys? So military operations rely heavily on energy. We see it here. But delivering it to remote locations like battlefields or disaster zones is often too slow and risky and resource intensive. So, if it's too slow to deliver it by plane or deliver it by helicopter or build the infrastructure to put wires down, look, you're not going to beam it horizontally, are you? It wouldn't make sense. Why not get your good old friend Rocket Lab to beam it from a satellite, get it from a solar powered satellite into your generator, which we were talking about yesterday, beam it directly down into your remote location, like your battlefield or a disaster zone. And there you go. This is exactly what we're talking about. And this is why we'll always try and bring receipts to our concepts we're bringing out. We're not just, well, sometimes we will just come up with a few thoughts, but we want to sort of show you guys this is why we're thinking this. We're not just coming up three guys off the top of our head and going, right, do you think Rocket Lab can beam lasers down and supply power for the military? No, we're actually showing this is exactly what they're doing. This is why they want to do it. And this is why we believe Rocket Lab would be ideal for this. Chris, have you any thoughts on this article?
Well, DARPA, and I love Francisco, I really do. We've been juggling this around before the Mynaric acquisition. And it's something we didn't really talk about a lot. It just because DARPA comes up quite a bit. Obviously, Rocket Lab already works with multiple different facets of the military, including DARPA. And that was what's happening now is just one of the dreams that we were just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if they did this? Or wouldn't it be cool if they did that? And we have this kind of conversations a lot. Liam, you and I have this, a lot ourselves. But now it's coming into a reality. And we saw a lot of this, something similar with Haste. And obviously now there's a contract for Neutron to do rapid response payload delivery to, from Wallops to somewhere else on Earth. And I believe that's a commercial mission. I can't remember if that's commercial military, but a lot of it's going to be military. So whether you're transporting humanitarian goods to, let's say, earthquake zone, it doesn't have to be military. There's a lot of other applications for it. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And a lot of these U.S. airplanes, these larger cargo airplanes, are very old and becoming obsolete, and they're not as cost effective as they could be, especially when you're looking at something as far as saving lives and the time that it takes to get from one place to the other. Now, building on top of that and having the ability to transfer stuff from space directly to Earth is just that much more exciting. And I know it sounds crazy, and that's a lot of what we do here is we try and think outside the box, guys. We don't, it's easy to sit there and read the news from yesterday and keep up with the launches, and that's great. That's fun. I love it myself, but I'm a space geek, and I'm always trying to think, where could we be at in 15, 20 years? And that's what gets me really excited. That's also what helps me when we have really bad days and we're down 7 or 8%. I'm just like, I ain't worried about it. I'll just buy some more, It's all about conviction. It's all about passion. It's all about knowing the company and the stock. Never hurts to think outside the box.
And then what I want to say before I jump across to Dylan's thoughts on it, yeah. So they haven't only demonstrated that they can beam it, yeah. They've had a significant test for the power program. Researchers successfully demonstrated a ground-based laser power transmission system known as Power Receiver Array Demo, which is PRAD. The test focused on beaming energy through the densest part of the atmosphere, which is a major technical challenge, and still managed to set new records in power and distance. Dylan, does this excite you about the company?
Yeah, honestly, Liam, and I will always be honest, it does. And I think the energy solutions, the energy storage would be something that initially I would not have started to maybe put my mind to with a company like Rocket Lab. But talking with you guys as well as reading some of these articles as well, just the possibilities, and like Chris is saying, in that 10 and 15-year horizon where the launches that are happening today, these are really, I would say, building blocks and milestones that are getting the company to those next levels of opportunities and possibilities in the orbit, in the LEOs and the orbits of space. And I really feel, I really feel that the energy consumption here with inside the atmosphere on Earth has been a very hot topic. It's been at the front of a lot of people's minds. So if this is a company that is not only doing so many other amazing missions, but then is also able to accumulate an area of energy storage and able to take that off of Earth and take away that power consumption and have that done in a more cost efficient and really energy efficient way, to me, it just excites me about the future possibilities of this company.
It's interesting seeing Dylan as a new investor. Bro, your questions are brilliant. You obviously you're getting a grasp. You obviously know your stuff when it comes to investing. So it's fun watching someone brand new, and don't take this the wrong way, but someone coming in brand new and seeing the excitement, because I was the same way when I was learning this stuff.
Yeah.
And I will get right back to that, but you're right. Thanks, Vince. DARPA has been working with, what is that, 2008 or 2006, Francisco? But yeah,
2009 here.
oh, 9. Okay, I can't see too well on my phone, but yeah,
No,
he
you're
was.
fine.
Yeah, he's right about that. But yeah, Dylan, it's been great, man. It's been great having you here. Very exciting. And ask away. There's people in the chat that, man, they really know their stuff. And you know me, I'm not. I don't do the numbers, but yeah, there's people in chat, man. Ask away. Any questions? Nothing's above board here.
Yeah, and I want to jump in and say, anyone that has came across straight from our Rocket Lab Weekly that we done before this, or not Rocket Lab Weekly, I have Rocket Lab Weekly on my mind, eVTOL Weekly before this. Look, ask away in the comments. Dylan is a new investor into Rocket Lab, and let him be your voice. Like,
absolutely.
No one should be embarrassed about joining into a company. We're all new at some stage. I felt like I knew quite a bit about Rocket Lab until I started speaking to Chris and Francisco, and now, boys, I feel like every day is a school day. I'm constantly changing my thesis, changing what I feel. And I said this in the previous stream. This is a journey. This is a journey of 3 people that are looking to better their lives. That's why we all invest, isn't it? But you'll see the evolution of us over the next few years on how our thesis changed. Were we right? Were we wrong? You'll see us through the good days. You'll see us through some pretty bad days too. Because look, it's not all sunshine. There will be bad days. Like, every company has bad days. But you guys are what's going to shape our thesis. It's what's going to shape the direction of this HASTECLUB project. We're open to suggestions, ideas. If you think we're doing something good, if you think we're doing something bad, if you'd like more, if you'd like less, you guys will genuinely shape everything. You're nothing without your community. Without your community, we're just 3 guys sitting having a chat. But in one way, I like that. I like the format of this, where it feels like 3 mates having a chat about their investments. Any of you guys that jump in and have a comment, it genuinely, I said it in the last stream, it was my first proper solo one towards the end, and it made me sort of realize how connected you are to people going down the camera. It genuinely feels like you are talking to people, which is really nice. And when you're getting that constant feedback from the comments, it just feels so good, because it shows that you're able to provide us value, and we are hopefully able to provide you with a little bit of value. But any of you guys that are on X, make sure to jump across to YouTube if you want a comment. Have them both open if you prefer watching through the X platform. But genuinely, if you want a comment, come across to YouTube. What I've done, I've displayed it where you can see the comments coming up. So you should see we cannot see any X comments for some reason. I must talk to some of the other creators in the space how they get their X comments to show on the streaming software. But what I want to do, I want to jump across and welcome Olga in. Olga is a massive Rocket Lab fan. She's here every day with us. She genuinely is one of the, it's like the heartbeat of this HASTECLUB. We're seeing the same face, and we're seeing the community constantly growing more and more. But how engaged Olga is, even on X, she reaches out to me and we have great chats about Rocket Lab. So again, thank you for being here. And again, I'm going to say it. You're going to get sick of me saying it, guys. But if you want to call in, you're welcome to call in. Also, before we get further into it, Francisco says he agrees with Dylan. Rocket Lab needs to do some of the moon missions. And it sort of gives an interesting insight. I think we were sort of speaking about energy storage and delivery. And I think, I don't want to misquote you, Francisco, but I believe it may have been you that said it to us. Potentially, they could be used to heat the moon bases. Let me know if I've completely misquoted you there. But potentially, the energy could be used to heat the moon bases. Francisco's, what's up, guys? Hope everyone's having a great week. Do you know what? Ever since we started this Haste Club daily, I just feel you're constantly feeling a good mood, yeah?
Yeah.
No, it's great. Hypersonic Launch Systems and Kratos Defense and Security Solutions are partnering to offer the DART hypersonic system in the US. This collaboration is using Kratos, and we need to remember Kratos believe they can get up to a launch per day. And we've heard Beck say they more or less have the demand to do a launch per week. So,
Well, what do I say a lot is the little things are overlooked when it comes to Rocket Lab. The DART mission is way overlooked as far as what that mission's gonna be amazing for Haste. There's gonna be I could almost do I'm gonna probably do just a Haste episode just on that mission itself prior to launch, because there's a lot more to it than just a normal launch that you're just out there launching a satellite. Not that anyone's really normal, but this one is very unique. Francisco is he's just hitting the iceberg on this. Yeah, totally agree. That's going to be a fun launch.
And then Francisco says Rocket Lab, Hypersonics, and Kratos are working together. So hint, we can see contracts for the Iron Dome coming to fruition, hopefully. But what I want to do, I want to jump across to the third article before we get into the actual launch itself. So this is an interesting one. So Rocket Lab's backer Outset raises 25 million to fund New Zealand deep tech moonshots. So they have 2 moonshots, if I'm not mistaken. One of them was, it's not going to work. But from one of them is going to be the Open Star, which is an emerging Kiwi leader, a nuclear fusion startup that's working on levitated dipole reactors. Now, guys, I am no nuclear scientist, so if you know anything about it, please let me know. But they were able to create superheated plasma at temperatures of around 540 degrees Fahrenheit, an important step towards producing fusion energy that took only 10 million to get there, as compared to many decades of long government-led initiatives. But then they're also doing an energy bank, which is building long-duration energy storage for floated offshore wind that's best suited for deeper waters. Now, we can see here they're back in Rocket Lab, yeah? And they are heavily focused on energy storage and not going down the conventional path. Again, does this not strengthen our philosophy on a Rocket Lab energy storage, energy transmission thesis? Dylan, I'll let you jump in on that one first.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to jump too far ahead, but it's almost sounding logical. It's again sounding like if we can harness this energy from a closer, basically harnessing this energy from a closer source without it having to reach our atmosphere, and also having that data storage component coming online, and I'm sorry, that energy data energy savings component coming online. Sorry for jumbling my words on that.
No, you're fine.
I just, for me, it just seems all too real. I feel like, again, in the world that we're in right now, and something that I also love about Rocket Lab and being invested in having the opportunity to learn more about the company is learning more about the world and environment that we are living in. And again, whether or not I was invested into Rocket Lab today, this launch would be happening. So to me, it's just bringing it full circle where it gives me the opportunity where, again, it's would be great to have the investment go up to and to the right and stay there, and that's great. But for me, it's really seeing these opportunities and potentials through these individual launches that are happening now, and then, just like you're saying, with his research and seeing the forward potential that Beck sees with inside of his company, I think it's just a logical end goal that could possibly be reached. Oh, Liam, Chris, any thoughts on that too?
Chris, do
No,
you want
bro,
to
you're
jump
100.
in?
No, he's 100% right. That's uh, uh, he's 100% right on that. The That's what we're trying to look more into the future and what the potential can be. Um, and Beck is always 10 steps ahead of us anyway, so it doesn't hurt to try and think at least 3 or 4 or 5 steps ahead. It's not unfeasible. It's not ridiculous to think that some of these things can't, come to fruition. At the very least, it's fun to speculate on. I mean, it really is.
What do you
I
think?
see. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just gonna say it just, if you think about just general Tesla and any energy storage and not really wanting to talk about the financials and adding it to the book and what the book value does in that. But again, just seems like, again, these companies that are so, like you say, so forward looking into what the future of this world could and can be and may ultimately will be. I think
Well, we
again for,
have
yeah.
Rocket Lab owns Solera. It's the most advanced, the best solar panel system they use in space. So there's always, they're already going to have their own power to a certain degree as far as satellites and space stations, and I mean the James Webb telescope, those big
Mm-hmm.
solar panels. That's all Rocket Lab.
So cool.
So they're already proving they can do these things up to a certain degree, and there are going to be needs to have something, even if it's something as basic as cryogenic fuels,
Mm.
different types of fuels that are needed to refuel anything from larger spacecraft, not spacecrafts, but you know what I mean. Let's say they're going to send capsules up, manned missions or
Sure.
whatever. There's going to be a need for that, especially if we are trying to plan to colonize the moon and move out to other planets. And yeah, that's again 10, 15 years out. Um, but that's what we do here. It's more about
Yeah.
dreaming and having fun and thinking outside the box. And if we're only a percent right, we're way ahead of the curve. Especially the fact that we can invest into the company, because that the growth is there. Look at how much money is going to go into space just for the next 3 to 5 years. Rocket Lab's already doing about 30% of that total revenue, and they're just growing on top of that. So it's hard to not see them getting bigger and growing bigger. And like you mentioned Tesla earlier, Rocket Lab is, in my mind, the Tesla of space. They take raw material in one door, and out the
Mm-hmm.
other door comes everything: space systems. Now we have geos. Of course, we have launch satellites. Then you look in the photon bus system. There's not much that Rocket Lab does not cover or cannot do.
And to that point, Chris, it doesn't, for me, it has not seemed like Beck is scared of that TAM of space and kind of embraces that. And again, has that kind of, if one win, all wins, but seems like he's really embracing that opportunity to go further and further out and what that TAM means to his company.
Exactly.
And then Francisco says, here's the deal. Most of the companies that spun off Rocket Lab, Peter Beck is an investor or seats on the board as well as a mentor to the guys. And it just shows he has his fingers in every pie when it comes to this space. This is how he's able to get great deals over the line, how he's able to be so shrewd and acquire the likes of Moneric, Geost. But then we have GY Kiwi. Welcome back, brother. We always love to see you here. Genuinely, I love the interaction with the guys. But GY Kiwi says Pulsar Fusion is working on similar in the UK propulsion. And the thing is, it feels like this whole industry is just starting to really, I don't know, step up in the past, I'd say 2-3 years. And it just shows you how far it's going. But what I want to do...
Hey, Sean,
Yeah.
can you send me that link, bro? Kiwi, you know who you are, Sean. Yeah, can you send me that link on X if you don't mind? I'd love to read that. Appreciate you.
So we have 32 of you here, guys, and I want to reiterate, we are going to watch the launch just in case you joined us and thought we were just talking about everything about Rocket Lab and not actually watching the launch. That'd be like clickbait central, wouldn't it? But there's 32 of you here. I don't ask for much, but what I really would like you to do, this is how you guys can help us. Yeah. Jump across on YouTube at the moment. I'm not going to ask you to comment, but there's one thing you can do for one of our friends here. Chris gives an awful lot of value to this space. He is the founder of this HASTECLUB. We're doing it daily. He is definitely part of the heartbeat of this team. But Chris has made a YouTube channel and he has 7 subscribers. He needs 50 and he can go live with us on YouTube. Guys, this space is growing, but please do one thing for me. Please jump in and subscribe to Chris. What I'm going to do, I'm going to fire the link across. Even if you have to leave the stream for a second, we're not going anywhere, yeah? But please help our friend out. He does an awful lot for this community, and the last thing he ever does is ask for anything. He didn't ask me to put this out, but really, I just want to help our friends out. So
you're too kind, bro. You're too kind.
I can let you have a little conversation there while I get your link for your YouTube, brother.
No, I appreciate that, man. You're too kind. You're too kind. It would help out. It's a lot easier if I can just go right off of YouTube. And yeah, there's an algorithm. You have to have 50 subscribers before they allow you to go live. I can do videos and post on there, but you guys know I just don't do videos. I just go right live off my phone. Again, sometimes I'm kayaking, sometimes I'm driving to the store to get a beer. But we're more laid back here. You know, it's just an area we can just sit back, relax, have a talk, have a chat, not focus too much on the numbers and too much of the stress of the stock going up and down, and just go back and remind ourselves why we're investing in the first place when it comes to Rocket Lab or Kratos or ASTS. I don't mind talking about other space companies. Just a big space nerd. So yeah, thanks again, man. I really appreciate it.
No, honestly, it's the last thing we can do for you. Like, honestly, you ask for nothing. You provide us with so much information. You welcomed us into the Rocket Lab community when, do you know what? It's quite intimidating, like, coming across from a different space. Yes, we're quite big in the eVTOL space, but, like, no one had ever heard of us in the Rocket Lab space. And to come across and have someone so welcoming and kind and provide us with that much information, I don't think we can ever repay you for it. But guys, please do one thing for our friend. Jump across to YouTube. Even if you have to create a Google account, just please, it takes 2 seconds. You can give a fake address if you have to. Not advice. But please help our friend out there. And you know what? Next goal is get Dylan on YouTube too.
Yeah, we'll do that next. If we can get Also, we need to get
You're
Francisco
on
get
mute.
back onto X if you can, buddy.
Wait, I'm trying to unmute you, mate. You've muted yourself.
I apologize.
There we go.
No, sorry about that. So yeah, all the genius stuff I said, of course it's not going to come back right now. But no, but I think really more just saying, again, thank you, Chris. And Liam, of course, as well. And to be able, it's really something, Chris, where you've given me an opportunity to really just throw any questions at you. It's never been like, this question is a bad question. Why are you asking me this question? Or why are you bothering me at this time with this question, about Rocket Lab or Haste or anything involving this stock or this space. And it's just to give you credit, and I co-sign for anybody that can. Please give Chris that opportunity to be able to be on that kayak and hit YouTube live, because I can only imagine the amount of thoughts and great ideas he has, and for the opportunity for the whole community for him to hit that one button and go live and share them, I think brings value to the whole community. So I co-sign, and if you have that chance, don't worry about me. Go give Chris, go give that go give that like and subscribe to Chris. Sorry for the jumbling
No,
of the words.
I appreciate it, man. But it's you said the right thing, man. It's a community. I wouldn't get half the information that I get if it wasn't for people like Francisco or Johnny Mac or a Curtis. People send me messages all the time at all hours of the night sometimes.
Yeah.
But people are committed, and you'll realize that. You said this is your first launch. Me getting up at 3 o'clock or 3:30 in the morning, we weren't the only ones. Curtis was up with us, and he's Midwest. It wasn't the best time for him. But the community is really committed, and they know their stuff. And it's not just me. There's a lot of people like me that are happy to answer questions, and that's what makes them so great. They're happy to answer questions. They're happy to talk about it. So as you're growing in the community, and the other people that are joining us tonight from the EV side, it's the same thing. The majority of the guys, I'd say 99% of the people in the Rocket Lab community, you always have your one or two, but the majority of the people in the Rocket Lab community, they're very kind, they're very giving, and they know their stuff, man. They really do. Any of these guys could get on here and spew out tons and tons of information. So to them, thank you guys as well, because again, it's not just one person; it's a whole community, a whole team effort.
I love it.
Guys, I just want to say, I can see Chris's YouTube here. I'm telling you again, please jump in.
Yeah.
Also, brother, don't ask for much, but please, I want him to come live with me. Do you have any idea how much companies have spun off from Rocket Lab? I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to say...
Was that Francisco? Was that a Francisco question? Oh, boy. Go ahead, Liam.
Yeah, no, you've exposed me there. I genuinely... No, I don't know. Do you know, Chris?
I'm going to let Francisco answer this question. I'm going to let Francisco answer the question. I think I know where he's going with this. This will be fun.
Dylan, do you want to give a wild guess before he fires it in?
I'd love to give a guess, but I really don't want to shortchange it or overshoot it, and especially being a new guy. But for me, what I take in that is writing that question down and going finding the facts. But if Francisco would love to share it or has the opportunity to share it, I'd love to hear it.
Right, guys. We're sitting at 4 minutes to launch. Or not 4 minutes to launch, 4 minutes to start the live stream. This is going to be fun. Yeah, it was fun watching it last time, but now we have Dylan involved too. Guys, if any of you want to call in, you can call in with us here. But I want to then say this Haste Club is happening every day for 30 days anyway. However, if you love Rocket Lab, daily content, daily live streams, you love hearing us three guys chatting, let me know if you want to see it as a foreseeable thing where we go live every day. Would you prefer weekly? Would you prefer 2 times a week? Or are you loving what we're doing at the moment? Not gonna lie, guys, I'm in love with this project. I don't want this daily to end. Look, we'll let the guys decide.
I've got an idea too. Since we are going to be doing this, like Liam said, 30 days straight. And there's a lot to cover, especially a lot of this is supposed to be focused mainly on a new investor. We love having the OGs in here and the people that have been in for a long time. But we are gonna review some things that most of us as Rocket Lab investors already know. But if there's a subject or something you guys want us to cover and dive more into, please give us suggestions. And like Liam said, come on, phone in, get in the chats, join in. It's not about us guys, it's about all of us. We're just gonna sit back, relax, have some fun tonight, watch the launch. Yeah, everybody feel free, join in, let us know what you think.
And maybe
And
Chris, if I could just, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
go on.
Liam. Oh, sorry about that. I was just gonna say just one thing, and if you guys want to provide any other color on it, I was just looking into NYX today, so the module and the reusable space vehicle, and I just want to say it looks beautiful. So there are just multiple avenues regarding this company and the sector that just like once you start to unravel and just go that next layer deeper and that next layer deeper, it gets quite interesting. It's quite fascinating. It gets a bit hard to kind of come off the DD of it. But again, on the flip side, when I'm not doing the DD, having to have the chance to talk with guys like Chris and Liam and Francisco in the chat, it's honestly I'm smiling because it's so excited again about learning more about this company, and it's so cool to hear you say, Chris, too, to even have that opportunity and go back and revisit just some of the things that some of the newer Rocket Lab investors may not have been aware yet. And I'm telling you, when you see them or hear of them, they can be pretty mind blowing, pretty amazing accomplishments from this company.
One of us, Gooba Gaba, one of us.
You got me hooked.
That's fun. That's great. I love it.
Do you know what? It's interesting to see the evolution of Dylan into Rocket Lab because he's always known how passionate I've been about it. And he would go from messaging me like, well done on Rocket Lab's day, good job. And then he'd go further on to say, like, I've seen this for Rocket Lab's day. And now he's on streams with us and he's getting interested into it. And I'm not speaking for Dylan, but we all know he's going to keep adding to that position because, Rocket Lab's just an addiction.
Well, it's not always about the share count, but I did add some today because again, for me, I'm a long-term portfolio. I can't talk today. A long-term portfolio holder, and again, to each, their investment styles are to each in their own. But for me, not being a day trader, it's really looking at that long-term potential of this company. So for me, it was okay to add to the position today, and it wasn't an incredible whale purchase or anything like that. But for me, made me feel better having a few extra shares of the lab in the portfolio.
Then I want to jump across. So Francisco has said it's a lot. I'll get the link over to you guys with the info of some companies. Now I want to throw a little. Here we go.
Oh, Francisco.
I want to pedal back a little bit in that conversation. We're talking about the NYX cap. So, Francisco, this is addressing you directly. Would you be able to find me any link, if you can, on Rocket Lab's relationship with the space exploration company? And
there is none.
There is none, is there?
Not right now, no. They've never mentioned Rocket Lab directly. I've seen it in some articles where they show a potential. It can be modified to fit within a neutron.
Okay.
NASA normally they want a 7-person kind of capsule. a minimum 5, but they only want to pay for 3 people normally going up. If you ever notice that, like SpaceX Dragon, it can hold 7. You would need a capsule not much smaller than the Dragon to fit inside a Neutron. But no, they haven't actually named, there's no projects, there's nothing they're doing together. This was just something very speculative, something we're looking long term at, because it would cost Rocket Lab a lot of money to have to go in and do their own D&D and do their own research and do their own, building of a capsule themselves. But being able to subcontract that out or utilize another company's capsule that fits within that is very feasible.
And what I quite liked about the NYX capsule that any of you guys are quite new to it, so it's reusable, but it's 25 to 50% cheaper than the current capsules that are going around. And then it can bring down 3,000 kilos of cargo. So it is an interesting thought on, would NASA use it even as a resupply capsule? Or you even seen it there with Dragon having to go up and save them astronauts. What's stopping Rocket Lab from being able to do something like that? Look, that's just me thinking off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm so excited for this launch, I can't even lie. This streaming is like a full-time job, Well, the audience is still growing. The streaming is like a full-time job, and going from one stream to another. Do you know what it is? I found it really weird today because normally I do all my research, bring it together over the week, and then for about 3 or 4 hours before the stream, you'll then be looking over and then making sure you know if. But today I've had to jump from my eVTOL brain straight to Rocket Lab brain within 30 minutes. I don't know how some of you guys do it. It's a wild one.
It's quite a shift. Yeah, it's quite a shift. But I will say for me on the switching over to the Rocket Lab side, it does make me think even deeper about my investments into the eVTOL and really seeing where, again, having that product that is performing and is out in the market and driving that success for that company is really providing that value back to the shareholders as well. And as much as I may be in love with some eVTOL companies, I'll tell you what I'm really loving is the execution that Rocket Lab has. And yeah, I'm smiling with excitement, ready to see this launch as well.
So I'm gonna tell me, guys, if you can hear the sound once we get going. And we've frozen up a little bit there, but it will free itself up.
Oh yeah, I can hear it. It's a little loud.
Still loud, is that? Not bad.
Not bad, not bad.
The time is 11:39 a.m. local, and we are now just 17 minutes away from liftoff for our 65th Electron launch. We are back just over 3 weeks from our previous Electron mission from Rocket Lab's Launch Complex 1 on yet another beautiful day on New Zealand's East Coast. Good morning and welcome to the launch of our next Electron mission called Full Stream Ahead for real-time space-based intelligence company BlackSky. Thank you for joining us. My name is Prachi Saknani and I'm a systems engineer on the Space Systems team.
And I'm Hannah Jury and I'm a systems engineer in the Neutron team. We are super excited to be joining you today to send another Electron to space. Today's mission for our customer BlackSky is headed to a 470-kilometer circular low Earth orbit with Gen 3, a new series of spacecraft that will join their constellation of Earth imaging satellites already on orbit. Some of those satellites were placed there on previous Electron missions, stretching all the way back to 2019, when Electron launches were still in their single digits.
Today's mission is our 10th overall launch for BlackSky, with a lineup of more missions scheduled to take place over this year and next to continue building out BlackSky's constellations. Their Gen 3 satellites, including the one going to space today, will be deployed from a Rocket Lab motorized light band, a separation system for satellites that we've provided to BlackSky for each of its launches on Electron. Here's more from BlackSky about their mission.
Hindsight is 2020. Foresight is a superpower. BlackSky. Today, the speed of space-based intelligence meets the urgency of the moment. Unexpected events around the globe suddenly and dynamically alter relationships with allies and adversaries, force rapid national security decisions, and impact the health and safety of entire populations. That's why BlackSky is relied upon to be fast, focused, and flexible. Immediate insights are only possible when monitoring is both very frequent and very fast. Our unconventional satellite orbits and AI-driven automation help you get answers in minutes. It's real-time tactical intelligence that rapidly pinpoints changes, patterns, and anomalies. Intelligence only matters when it's deeply relevant to you. This is the industry's only purpose-built platform for dynamic monitoring, not static mapping. It's powered by multiple inputs in space, online, and on the ground. And to enhance the relevance of your outputs, data is automatically analyzed at machine speed. Our platform is flexible and highly intuitive, even easy to master. We give you the power to task satellites anonymously and securely, and to fully control the observation in your areas of interest. This is always-on, space-based intelligence in your hands. When you need to act, not just fast, but first, harness the power of a superpower. BlackSky.
Constellation building requires flexibility and control over how, when, and where your satellites are deployed. And that's a service we're glad to provide to BlackSky once again with today's latest launch.
Alrighty, we are at T-minus 13 minutes in the countdown now. Let's get an update from the mission control team as when they run their go, no-go poll for today's launch. Our operators and mission control will soon report with a go or no-go depending on their readiness for launch. They will evaluate everything from the payload status and the rocket's environmental conditions to propellant tank levels and whether or not the skies will remain clear for liftoff.
That's right. And from range control in Mahia, our operators there will report on the range's readiness and Launch Complex 1's ground systems to confirm the pad is ready for liftoff. All operators report up to the launch director in charge of operations. And today in mission control, our launch director is Julia Vembacher. Let's tune in now to the poll as that status update gets underway.
Well, I'm go. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to go.
For sure.
No, it's very exciting, Chris.
And
It's
to
it
operators
bring,
of the admission code, we are proceeding now with the go-no-go sequence. Stage.
Let's go. Let's go.
Avionics.
Avionics is go.
GNC.
GNC is go.
Recon.
Recon is go.
T1.
T1 is go.
GC.
GC is go.
PLS.
PLS is go.
RSO.
RSO is go.
MET.
MET is go.
MM.
MM is go.
And LD sub.
LD sub is go.
The go-no-go sequence is complete. We are currently T-minus 11 minutes and 24 seconds and counting. We are go for the terminal count auto sequence at T-minus 10 minutes. From this time, the 3-word procedure is in effect.
We're looking on time, boys.
Hey, we're close. We're close. We're not there yet, but we're close.
Continuing, and we are go for launch today for our 65th Electron mission. We are at T-minus 11 minutes and counting, squaring us up for a launch attempt right at 11:57 a.m. local time or 11:57 p.m. UTC. Now, if we need to delay for any reason, today's launch window extends until 2 more hours.
And without mission a beat, it's full stream ahead for BlackSky's next Data with Destiny. For today's 10th launch for our mission partners, we might be running out of toes, but not out of mission names.
Today's launch will deploy another Gen 3 satellite to orbit, which adds another 35-centimeter spatial resolution to BlackSky's imaging capabilities and improves on their already very high-resolution offerings to their customers. It's been quite a ride we've had with BlackSky, and today is no exception as we launch more of their spacecraft to orbit.
Speaking of launches, let's take a look at Electron on the pad at LC-1, our workhorse launch vehicle that puts the rocket in Rocket Lab. Electron is a two-staged orbit liquid-fueled launch vehicle designed specifically for small satellite missions. It's made from carbon composite material, which is a strong but lightweight structural material that gives Electron that sleek black look. There are 10 Rutherford engines across Electron, 9 engines at the bottom of the first stage, and a 10th with a larger nozzle designed for space on the second stage. All 10 of these Rutherfords are 3D printed and electrically powered by batteries. With a 3D printed combustion chamber, injectors, pumps, and main propellant valves, Rutherford has the most 3D printed components of any rocket engine in the world.
That's right. There's also what we call the kick stage, which sits at the top of the rocket within the fairing. This is a stage that deploys the mission satellites to their orbital placement within the constellation. The kick stage is highly precise at delivering satellites to space thanks to its onboard propulsion system called Curie, which has a miniature nozzle that's about the height of a small coffee mug. Curie is highly maneuverable and can deliver satellites to their targeted position within single-digit kilometers, which is just incredible accuracy within the vastness of space when you're moving at more than 28,000 kilometers an hour. The kick stage and Curie engine are so integral to Electron's reliability that we've flown them on all but one Electron launch. Outside of launch, the kick stage has been foundational to the spacecraft family of spacecraft that we build and operate today. A modified version of the kick stage and its propulsion system, known as Hypercurie, were in fact the basis of our spacecraft for a mission we sent all the way to the moon for NASA back in 2022 called Capstone.
Right, the scene's gone silent for a minute, guys. How are we feeling?
Was that I think is the newbie. I don't want to get like over my skis and thinking too much is good to go. I would say still feeling very excited. And love the general breakdown because again, if you're newer to Rocket Lab, I love because even some of the items that the hosts were pointing on, by the DD, you can actually see those 3D printers. And, you can really dive into how these rockets are being made, and it's an amazing process. So far, so good for me.
I don't know.
65 launches in, and we never get tired of checking out these views of Electron. We have now just 7 minutes left on the countdown clock. While we wait, let's check out the progress of our newest launch and landing pad under construction on the opposite side of the world in Virginia.
Launch Complex 3 within the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport on Wallops Island will soon be home to our medium-lift rocket Neutron. LC-3 is close to being finished ahead of our new rocket's debut launch later this year. Let's check it out.
My name is Sean DeMello. I'm the Vice President of Neutron Development here at Rocket Lab. LC-3 is located at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport at the Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia. We chose Wallops for Neutron largely because it is a site that has an immense launch capacity and availability. There are a very few number of operators. In fact, we're the only ones operating out of Wallops right now going to orbit. So it is a very favorable choice for a new launch vehicle requiring a lot of launch availability. The Wallops is unique for Rocket Lab in the fact that we can launch Electron, Haste, and Neutron all within the same overall launch complex itself. And we've got adequate propellant storage that allows us to turn around vehicles 24 hours apart. We have a lean and mean team out of Wallops who've done everything from designing the systems on the launch pad through to now actively constructing it and operating it. Here on out, our objectives are to complete all the system activation and performance test against all our test objectives. Once that's completed, the site is ready for rocket and will be operational. And with construction and activation in full swing right now, we look forward to opening the pad here this summer.
Things are looking great on the Eastern Shore with LC3, and hopefully you were able to catch that quick view of our second Electron launch site, Launch Complex 2, that sits right next door to Launch Complex 3. I can't wait for the day we have both pads activated and 2 rockets ready to go at the same time from Wallops Island, Virginia. That's the dream.
Right now, though, back to New Zealand, where we are getting closer to liftoff with our partners at BlackSky. We are now just in the final moments of the count with only 5 and a bit minutes remaining until launch. Soon, our launch operators will be checking in with the near final status updates. From T-minus 2 minutes, the first call will be to confirm that Electron is on internal power. This means the rocket is circulating its own power supply instead of drawing from an external source. The call-out also means that Electron's flight computer has taken over the countdown and is handling the final pre-launch procedures, ensuring precise timing and coordination for liftoff right at that T0 mark. The next call-out will be to talk about AFTS, which is our automated flight termination system. This means that the rocket's guidance system for launch safety is activated and its telemetry systems are verified to be transmitting data accurately to mission control. After that, we can expect to hear confirmation that Electron's liquid oxygen propellant loading is complete and that the system is in circulation inside the vehicle. Soon after that will come the call that Electron's tanks are pressed for flight. This means the system is fully pressurized and ready for launch.
Then you'll hear high flow engine purge is enabled. By this stage, Electron's Rutherford engines are primed and ready, and final actions are taking place to ensure they'll ignite right on time. Next, the launch director will remind operators of our position in the countdown, usually at around 20 seconds to launch, before speaking again to count down to liftoff from T-minus 10 seconds. Then we'll be on our way to space for our 65th launch. All right, we're bringing up the audio channels now for mission control to listen into that countdown in real time, and we'll be back with you shortly after liftoff.
What are we saying? We're going to launch on time?
So far, so good.
How are you feeling, Liam?
Always coming up towards this stage.
To all operators, LDL mission code. From now on, there should be no red flags on your critical LCCs. Recon LD on mission code.
LD Vicon.
Recon, lock the auto sequence and confirm.
Auto sequence is locked.
And Recon, confirm all flight computer ASCIIs are green.
Confirmed.
To all
Let's go.
operators, for auto sequence start at T-minus 2 minutes. LDs go for launch.
Go for it. Yeah, I've said before, I think because how passionate I am about them, I do get a little bit nervous up until around MECO and stage separation. Once that's achieved, I'm more or less content enough that they'll get it over the line. Chris, what about you? Do you ever get nervous about these launches?
Same. MECO. Once we get MECO, I'm fine normally. Stage separation is usually good after that. It's always a little nerve-wracking, but funny thing is, Dylan, you'll realize this is that for some reason, after a successful launch, Rocket Lab tends to go down the next day. I don't know why.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
It's kind of weird. But yeah, we're getting close. It's exciting.
Again, Francisco is in agreement with us. Stage separation
System is in recirculation.
is what gets him every time. I think ever since that anomaly Yeah, it is. Guys, make sure to hit that like button, please. We want to grow this Haste Club. We're doing it daily.
Anti-geyser rain is disabled.
Stage 1 and Stage 2 tanks are pressed for flight.
High flow engine purge enabled.
Yeah, we're green. We're all Kermit, baby. We're launching this bad boy.
T-minus 20 seconds and counting. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting pitch over.
Hmm.
Stage 1 propulsion nominal.
Electron is full stream ahead for its 65th launch. Soon we'll be at maximum aerodynamic pressure as Electron continues to accelerate. And that max Q moment will be called out by the launch operators in mission control soon, so let's listen in.
Electron is supersonic. Approaching max Q.
High voltage battery discharge nominal.
Cleared max Q.
Confirmation from Mission Control, we have successfully cleared max Q and are on track to reach the next milestone, MECO, or main engine cutoff, in approximately 90 seconds. We are now traveling at 2,500 kilometers an hour and have reached an altitude of 22.8 kilometers and climbing.
MECO on
AOS
Electron requires
station.
3 critical
She's
actions.
cruising.
First, the 9 Rutherford engines on the first stage, which are currently powering Electron, will shut down as scheduled. Second, the first stage will disengage and separate from the second stage, falling back to Earth. And then third and finally, the single Rutherford engine on the second stage will ignite and continue to propel Electron on its mission to orbit. Let's listen in for those calls from Mission Control.
Stage 1 propulsion holding nominal. Standby for MECO in 30 seconds.
"15 seconds to staging.
Entered burnout detect mode.
MECO confirmed.
MECO confirmed. That's right, baby.
Separation confirmed.
Got it. Engineering it.
Yeah, good job.
Confirmed.
The comms are in from Mission Control, confirming a successful MECO, stage SEP, and stage 2 ignition, and everything continues to look nominal for Electron. We are now approaching fairing jettison, where you should be able to see Electron's fairing halves split and fall away after they separate. Now that we're through the thick of the atmosphere, we no longer need this nose cone to protect BlackSky's satellite. So, to save us carrying dead weight, we jettison them ahead of payload deployment.
Guidance is nominal.
Watch out for those fairings on your screen shortly.
Francisco, Electron AI taking off.
Hmm.
Bearing separation confirmed.
There go the Fahrenhausen. From this view, we can get a
Stage 2
good look at
propulsion nominal.
BlackSky's Gen 3 satellite
HVB
integrated
discharge
onto the
nominal.
kick stage, exposed now to the conditions of space. Looks like the BlackSky team wrote a welcome to space message on their satellite as well. We are now reaching a velocity of over 8,800 kilometers an hour, passing through 138 kilometers in altitude.
It just never gets old, does it?
This is amazing.
We've talked about how Curie is famous for its spot-on payload delivery, but what about the journey there? That's where our GNC, or Guidance, Navigation, and Control team, comes in. The GNC system onboard Electron processes a continuous stream of sensor data about the rocket's attitude or orientation, its altitude, and a whole bunch of other things right to the flight computer, which checks how far off we are from the planned flight path and makes tiny adjustments via the Rutherford nozzle positions and the Stage 2 reaction control thrusters.
Stage 2 propulsion holding nominal.
And Francisco throwing a thought out there. That's a cool view. Wonder if those Star Trackers are Rocket Lab parts. And you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if they were.
Electron is the pioneer of many firsts, including the first battery-powered rocket engine. The batteries powering the engine on your screen are our third-generation high-voltage batteries, or HVBs. The batteries were redesigned from the ground up, including new cells, internal and external structures, and internal logic, but have been made to be a fit-in replacement for the previous high-voltage batteries. Much like a lot of Electron, the external structure is carbon composite and keeps the batteries pressurized because of the high voltage inside. The batteries also have better performance, meaning we now need fewer on stage 1.
And now it's time for a power shuffle with the hot swap of those Gen 3 HVBs up next.
Throttling down.
HVB discharge holding nominal, approaching hot swap in roughly 30 seconds. Hot swap successful.
Battery jettison confirmed.
Nice, nice.
Stage 2
Mission
propulsion
control
holding
there
nominal.
with confirmation of a successful hot swap. We are now 6 minutes and 48 seconds into the mission and traveling at 15,700 kilometers per hour. All is nominal for Electron and its Gen 3 payload.
She's cruising. She's cruising. Francisco, I can't see the comments. I'm going off my phone, and the way I have it positioned, I just can't see.
All
So I
right, T-plus
apologize.
7 minutes and 16 seconds into the mission, and Electron is continuing at full stream. Our stage 2 burn has about 90 seconds remaining, and if you glance over to the right of your screen, we're sitting at about 25% of kerosene and LOX propellant remaining. Right now, 25.8 kilonewtons of thrust are cruising us along at over 18,500 kilometers an hour, shortly bound for the orbital velocity number that we're looking for, right around the 28,000 kilometers an hour.
And really quick, Chris, Francisco was saying that's a cool view. Wonder if those star trackers are LL parts.
That's a good question. I don't know. I really don't know.
Sure.
But knowing Francisco, that's one of those things. He's like, hey, check this out. Go look it up.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you in about 2 or 3 days with a lot more.
So Francisco came back like a battery update.
Yeah.
Then GYQE, definitely
A
be
quick speed and altitude check for the mission. We are now reaching 23,000 kilometers per hour with an altitude of 205 kilometers and climbing. That means we're nearing the end of the second stage's journey with second engine cutoff on the horizon. During SECO, the single Rutherford engine will shut down, followed by the separation of the kick stage with its BlackSky payload into a transfer orbit. Let's listen out for that call now.
SECO confirmed.
Stage separation confirmed.
Nominal transfer orbit achieved.
Sweet.
Mission
Sweet,
control.
sweet. Yeah, we're golden now. We're golden.
Wow.
SECO and confirmation that the kick stage has successfully separated and has entered its coast phase around Earth. That was the most energy-consuming part of our launch over with, but we're not done yet. The coast phase will last approximately 40 more minutes or so before the kick stage gets ready to light up its Curie engine and change its trajectory to a circular orbit at 470 kilometers above Earth.
For now, we're going to take a quick break while the Curie engine travels around to the other side of the globe. For the next 40 minutes or so, you can track the mission's progress around Earth with this tracking animation. After we return, we'll run you through a little more detail on the innovative Curie engine and its payload deployment for BlackSky's Gen 3 satellite. We'll see you back here shortly.
I really
65 and we're still alive, boys. That's 65. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Do you know, it never gets old, does it? And GY Kiwi says, definitely be Rocket Lab Star Trackers. There's 90 plus in orbit right now. And the thing is, it just keeps growing. We have the Star Trackers, we have the reaction wheels, we have the solar panels. It just feels like at this stage, there's nothing Rocket Lab can't do. No, Dylan, that was your first Rocket Lab launch. What were your feelings? I love to ask people this because have you ever seen a Falcon 9 launch or any of that? Like
just so I feel like I'm being on track, would that be the SpaceX?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, I believe I've seen 2 of those. Very cool to watch. Just honestly, again, as a newbie in this, the difference in this, I just felt very confident the whole time. Everything just seemed to be going as planned. Again, I know I'm new to this, but just through every sequence of the mission, it just was green light, green light, green light, check mark good, reaching the MECO. And as you guys have mentioned, it can be a bit more nervous stage for those that, have been into the space more and know what that means upon the launch. And I'm just staring at the screen and incredibly impressed that this is like going on over our heads. And again, I think Chris, you said something where, I mean, yeah, it's kind of like a double thing I'm going to say here, but it's like this is happening and we have the opportunity to invest in this. And whether or not I was in on this in August 1st or June 2nd today, there was a quote from another creator. They said that you might not be too late, or the boat might not have left, but it might be still at the dock, just for the general. So not any investment advice on that. But for me, what I've seen just in my time with seeing any SpaceX launches is I just felt like there's been a little bit more, I don't know if hesitancy is the word, but just the mission success, it doesn't, to me, has not seemed as seamless. And then this one, to me, even though it was my first, it clearly shows that they've gone through 65 of these, and I know they know what they're doing, but showing it to somebody like me, it really shows to me that this company knows what they're doing.
I think that's where it's sort of like changing at the moment, because we're starting to get a lot more investors. I think at the start there was a lot of like space enthusiasts and SpaceX lovers that initially got into Rocket Lab, and then some of them left. where it feels like now people can actually see the differentiation between Rocket Lab and SpaceX. You can see they're going in completely two different directions. We know that SpaceX have the likes of Starlink, but they're going more for that exploration. They want to, I think Elon's vision is more to just extend life beyond Earth. He doesn't really care how much it costs. And look, I'd say there'll be quite a nice amount of contracts in it, and it will be profitable eventually. But where Peter Beck's vision is a lot more functional, you can see where we can make money, you can see how they're going to dominate. I just feel like, look, this is not financial advice, but to me, I think it's a better time than ever to start building your position, because yes, the stock price might not reflect what it reflected back then, but there was an awful lot more risk back then. We had just came past that failure in the Electron then. We didn't really know, was Neutron going to be delayed? We had the likes of the dilution. It just felt like there was an awful lot happening back then during the lows. And look, Chris will say himself, he's been in it even before myself and Reese were in it. Chris has seen a lot more ups and downs than I have myself. But I just think fundamentally, sometimes you're better investing in a company at a higher price, knowing that the fundamentals are there and that they're proven. And that's why I think, look, to me, it'd be an ideal time for me to keep growing my position at this level. I don't really care about the stock price. To me, just at the moment, keep acquiring. And I have no reason to stop acquiring. I see a massive runway ahead when it comes to the long term. But Chris, do you want to jump in and say any thoughts on it?
Well, it's as far as the dilution, so if you go back to, I think it was 2022, it was their first investor day kind of presentation, and you go back and watch that video, they had a 5-year plan to make a lot of acquisitions and spend a lot of money doing that. So it was already kind of, priced in for them, not so much as the markets. But during that time, we were coming off of COVID, and they were able to buy things on, basically at pennies on the dollar in comparison to what they was originally planning to buy them for. But in order to do that, they had to dilute some shares and get some loans. So yeah, the stock took a hit, and that had a lot to do with it. But as we move forward, so let's say like you take like a Solera, and you already have a certain amount of contracts that you have to fulfill, and you're going to take a loss, but you're going to absorb that loss, take over the company, fulfill those contracts. But moving forward in the future, you're going to start selling those contracts for a profit. So we're going to start seeing that. And again, we talk about the older contracts and the little things that are overlooked. Well, that's a big thing that's overlooked, because we have taken on a lot of acquisitions. As a matter of fact, the Eric acquisition, that's gonna be a hit in a lot of ways, and we're gonna have to overcome some of the losses and ramp up their overall ability to see that portion being profitable, because right now Eric's losing money. So, but that's something that Beck's great at. That's something that Rocket Lab is great at. It's going to be a great acquisition. But yeah, there's going to be a larger profit margin over the next 3 to 5 years just in the space system sector of Rocket Lab, and that has nothing to do with launches, which is, we know a small part. But yeah, to go back to what you're saying, yeah, I agree.
I didn't want to sort of share a concept with you guys, and it's gone a little bit off topic again, but I'll relate it back to Rocket Lab again. So, look, we all say we're average working men and women here look, we have some really big investors, and we have some that are just on the start of their journey. But what I see in the likes of Rocket Lab is I believe in the company so much fundamentally, and I'm willing to take the risk, and I have been willing to take the risk, and I'm constantly adding to my position, because what I genuinely feel like at the moment is, look, if I go to the pub with a few mates, or if I go to the coffee shop with a few mates, yeah, you'd be spending between $20 to $100, yeah, every time you go. And what are you going for? You go in there to have a good time, and look, it's expendable, yeah. Whereas I'm coming on here with you guys on Haste. Same thing as going to the pub, or same thing as going to a coffee shop, talking with my mates. Why don't I, instead of spending that $100 on expendable beer, or you could do what Chris does and just drive to the shop midstream.
Right.
Why don't you add it into a company you believe in? Talk with your mates about the same passion you have, and instead let your money work for you. Let that money that you would have expended actually be productive about it. Look, we're having a chat, we're having a great time, a laugh, and we're watching a rocket launch. We're all passionate about this, but at the end of the day, we're all here to make money too. And instead of going out to the likes of the pub and spending that money anyway, put it in and learn from it. But that's only a concept I was thinking of over the past few weeks myself.
Well, just a small piece on that, Liam. I know that you have a lot of people who are working extra night shifts, working on the weekends, and often a lot of the times when I'm going into those shops and I'm on the opposite side of the consumer, somebody may not be, as thrilled as they're spending that Saturday on the other side of the desk. But sometimes, and quite often, I say to them, you guys are the smart ones, because you're in here making money on these days where everybody's coming here and spending it. So, always good to create memories and, do for your family, and that's okay. But I think, like you're saying, just that allocation of any savings or what you're choosing to do with it, again, just setting yourself up for that opportunity for future success. Because again, just like you said, what we're doing right now, I'm having personally more fun than being out at a bar watching a football game or something like that with some guys. And this has been a really, really cool experience from my heart. And so I totally agree with you, Liam.
Chris, you're a man that we could be on stream, but you still do your hobbies. You still kayak, or you still have your beer. But how do you feel on that sort of concept?
I mean, well, you guys know I'm way more laid back than I probably should be. I don't take it as serious. I do take it serious, but it's I got into investing and I learned it all the hard way. And I watched TV, and I was a day late and a dollar short, and followed people on YouTube that and nothing against them. Look, if you're a millionaire and you or whatever, if you've got tens of thousands of shares, I'm happy for you. I really am. But guys like me, I just couldn't relate. I just couldn't relate to that because I can't spend that kind of money. I can't get that kind of deeply invested in something. And I chased all the wrong stocks for all the wrong reasons. And I had to go back and teach myself and learn the hard way, but I did. And I don't want people making that same mistake. Look, I got kids. So, like, as you guys know, my daughter just graduated. The first thing I did was I bought her stocks and set her up with an account with a reoccurring, amount of money going into her account. And she has to invest a certain amount of that money every month. And I've set that up for 4 years for her, so that, because no one taught me, I had no idea. I learned way too late in life, but I do want to be able to help other people out. And I'm not here for investment advice. What I'm here for basically is what not to do. And a lot of it's just, hey, don't listen to Chris, he's an idiot. That's funny, but in all reality,
Yeah.
we can all do our own research, and in a lot of ways we can pretend like we know this or that, but we really don't know everything when it comes to the markets. But we can help each other out. And again, whether it's a Palantir who's a strong community, a Tesla's got a strong community, or a Rocket Lab that's got a very strong community, that's what we're trying to do here, is bring everybody in, get everybody's input, everybody's feedback, and that way we're not, the risk becomes a lot less, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So much sense. So much sense.
Like, look, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. If you're here to listen to buy the stock now, sell the stock now, we're never gonna do that. So you're in the wrong place. But what we will do, we'll show you the raw emotion of investing in a company you're so passionate about. We'll show you how theses can change. How, look, we will be wrong quite a few times, but we will be right on some occasions. And the stronger we build this army, hopefully the more times we'll be right than wrong. But look, it's a journey. We're gonna do this daily. I don't know about you guys, but I want to stream every Rocket Lab launch. I want to be consistent. I want to be there for the guys. I want the guys to know that if they want to watch Rocket Lab launch, the Haste Club is providing a Rocket Lab launch. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. Look, we're on different sides of the world. So what doesn't suit one of you guys might suit me and Reese. What doesn't suit me and Reese might suit one of you guys. And then we have Chris himself, who is, well, look, aren't both of you the same distance from Wallops Island, really?
I think so. It's just about, yeah.
So what's saying, like, if we sort of knew there was a Haste launch going on, it's very hard to speculate and know when a Haste launch is going on, but you could stream it from the outskirts. You could see it going up. Look, we won't get much.
Well, there's Electron launches out of Wallops also that are told, and we know about them before. So yeah, Haste would almost be impossible to catch a live launch, but Electron, that's very doable. It's not very difficult. A lot easier than a neutron launch. I can tell you that for sure.
Well, and maybe it's a little bit of a cop out and something too, but being from Virginia, I mean, this is how oblivious one can be to its own state, where this launch pad has been there and the launch has been happening. I've been oblivious to it, but hearing that it was coming from Virginia, it was like, I don't know, it kind of tickled me. It was like, interested in this. Oh, and by the way, this is also happening in the same state I live in. Like, this is something I could go see with my own eyes. Like, yeah, it just ups that level of curiosity and passion into space and this company. And yeah, this has been an amazing time with you guys. Thank you so much for having me here with you.
No, honestly,
you're part of the team. Speaking of that, as far as the neutron launch and seeing it with your own eyes, and as you guys already know, we're going to have Ashley Vance at the neutron party, but on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock, there's a couple guys, Brett Krieger, Space Investor, and our good buddy Jacob Keaton.
Okay.
A couple other people, actually a lot of people, but they do a live on X, and I believe tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time, Ashley Vance is actually going to be on as a guest, so tune in for that. That's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to that. So give them a follow. If you're in the Rocket Lab, Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock, that's always a lot of fun.
And I think what we'll do, we'll purposely schedule a Haste Club around that. I don't want that clashing with that, because I do really like listening into the guys speaking. What's quite nice about them, they have such an open forum where, look, it doesn't matter who you are, you can actually put your hand up and have your say as well. it's kind of like inspired us a little bit on making this so open forum and that people can call in. I want to jump a little bit back again. So GY Kiwi says Minoric will pay its way quickly, especially with GIOST. And yeah, I think at the moment the acquisitions are just, you can see how they can ramp up pretty quickly now, because we're starting to get that close to end that they just fit right in.
Yeah, and you guys follow GY Kiwi. You guys follow that guy, man. He comes up with some really cool stuff that it'll get you down a rabbit hole from time to time, but it's always full of info. Definitely worth a follow for sure.
GY Kiwi, let's speak more on X. I'm getting really passionate about jumping down some of these rabbit holes, because I feel like I'm quite good at the superficial level of Rocket Lab, but some of these rabbit holes have really got me scratching my head lately, and it's something that I feel like if I can bring some of these to the stream, some of you guys can help me out and sort of see, am I going down the right path or am I completely going wrong? GY Kiwi says he's semi-retired, and congratulations for that. Look, I'm nowhere near retirement myself, but I can imagine it must be a great feeling to be that close to full-on retirement. And some people, I know my grandfather is 86 and he's still working. I feel like I will be like that. I can't sit still, honestly. Whether I am creating videos, whether I'm working, I always have something on my mind. I know the two guys here, whether it's Dylan providing me with information on eVTOLs, and now recently Rocket Lab as well. And I'm not even going to say Chris provided me information. Chris provided me with a shipload of information. Chris, I actually don't know how you do it. How you? No, honestly, brother.
I cheat. That's what I do, man. I cheat. I'll be honest with you. If it wasn't for other people out there, again, like I said before, it's a community, and I've done hours and hours of research with certain people on here, and spoke with daily for not just weeks or months, but over a year, well over a year or two, sometimes 2 years. And it's been fun. I've taken them in like they're almost like family, because you just get to know them really well outside of just the investment part of it, which has been great for me. I mean, I like that. It's not just about the money, but I can't take all the credit because I do a lot of research. I do tons of research, but I can't do it all alone. And for everybody out there, you know who you are. Thanks for all the help.
Guys, I also want to say, please bang that subscribe button. We genuinely want to keep expanding this Rocket Lab space. If you haven't noticed, we've been here every single day. We're going to be here every single day. I don't plan on stopping. I know initially we were going to roll out for 30 days. I think we're all in agreement that I think it's starting to become a permanent thing. I think we will start. Now, look, there will be days where one or two of us can't come on, but we also have another hustle brother in the background where hopefully, if needs be, he can jump on and give the same amount of passion that we do here. Do you know what? Do you ever go through phases, guys, where you just go wild with the content and you constantly want to be on stream, and then all of a sudden you just burn out one day and you're just like, oh no, and that's what I love about having the team here now. We can all lean on each other, and if someone's having a bad day, I've read somewhere 1 in every 10 streams is going to be an off day. Yeah, but when we have a team of 3 of us or 4 of us, at least the other guys, hopefully we won't have, what would it be, 1 in 1,000 streams, we'll all have a bad day. But yeah, it is what it is. Francisco, my Erica should be okay. Oh, my Nirek, I think he's trying to say, should be okay. The Space Force just announced today they awarded a new contract that was supposed to be delayed to August. Yeah, I think he just corrected that there. Can you send me the link on that, Francisco? I'd love to dive into that a little bit more. Did you hear about that, Chris, already?
I did, but it was one that's kind of like I just skimmed over it. I'll be honest. There was because I was looking into the other articles that he sent. It was probably yesterday's live stream. We just missed it. Just didn't get over. So it was down too far down on the list, but we can get more into that tomorrow, I'm sure.
And then we have search Space Force. Go to Space Force website. I will do after this stream. I want to dive into that a little bit more. The more and more I look at it, you can see it's going to be a lot of government defense deals going on for the foreseeable. Look, that's not taken away. I do believe the commercial is going to expand exponentially too. It's only that we're so focused on the defensive side at the moment. It's not going to say that like we will go through phases. I'm always known in the eVTOL space for some people will call it flip-flopping, because look, I have no problem in holding my hands up saying I'm wrong and then commending another side of the business. Like, for example, I went mad on archer defense for a while and then I was like, well, you know what, the commercial side is actually good. And same thing could happen if we find out that the commercial side, they have a really good opportunity there and it might be bigger than what we believe the Haste project will be. We'll be covering that too. Look, Chris himself, he's open to being wrong. I think we're all open here to being wrong. I don't think you should be investing if you believe you're always right, because if you're always right, trust me, you wouldn't be watching content on it. You'd just be in the likes of Tesla from the start, and you'd be onto your next move. Any thoughts on Rocket Lab's success as a hedge against SpaceX control of the market? Elon's been on the outs. I think I sort of covered that a little bit earlier. I think Rocket Lab and SpaceX, early on, it looked like they were very similar. I think Rocket Lab's just going through pace after pace, differentiating itself from SpaceX. They looked like brothers or sisters, and then they looked like cousins, but now they look completely different. They're two different businesses. The only thing that is quite similar is the fact that they both have launch vehicles. Apart from that, are you concerned about SpaceX as a Rocket Lab investor, Chris?
No, I mean, they're like you said, they're not. Elon's trying to get people on Mars, and there's going to have to be a lot of support outside of just SpaceX, honestly, to make that happen. And there's other companies out there like a Redwire, like a Planet Labs, Blue Origin. And I make fun of Blue Origin all the time. I call it the big penis rocket. But I make fun of them all the time. But they got a small chance of actually making Mars before Elon does. And that's controversial, I know, but them's the facts.
But that's the thing. I think Elon's more concerned about Blue Origin than he would be Rocket Lab, because Blue Origin are more or less going in direct competition with the likes of Kuiper and then with the likes of space exploration, where Peter Beck is going down a completely different avenue. Like, they've just differentiated themselves completely at the moment. I wouldn't even call them Coke and Pepsi now, just because, look, they kind of do the same thing, but they don't.
Space is big. Space is very big. So it's like I don't get so much of the competition or the hate from one company against another. Yeah, I make fun of, Bezos and the rocket, but it's just all good, good fun.
Yeah.
But I want space overall to succeed because it's like, rising tides lift all boats. There's a lot of potential out there for a lot of different avenues to go down. Musk has an idea of what he wants to do. Bezos has an idea of what he wants to do. And yes, Beck is taking a different approach. He's being very smart about it, and he's spending a lot less money than Elon and Bezos is doing it, and he's still making, very good headway. If it wasn't for Neutron, Rocket Lab would already be profitable.
Yep.
So once Neutron is actually up and functioning, they're getting contracts, and it's not even on the pad yet, and they are already getting contracts. So once we have Neutron up and functional, sky's the limit, or excuse the pun, but space is the limit.
Vass says, what I'm thinking is big money will pour into kneecap Musk's companies. I don't know. I try to stay out of the politics a little bit when it comes to Musk. I think he's an amazing entrepreneur. I think that, look, as a CEO, you can't take away that what he's done with Tesla, what he's done with Starlink, well, not Starlink, SpaceX. Like, I don't think people will bet against him for political views that badly. Look, you got to think with big institutes, the likes of your BlackRocks and stuff like that. Anything's game. Money's money to them. They're not going to bet against you unless they could see themselves profiting. If they think you have a good opportunity and that you're going to make them a lot of money, sometimes there can be they can turn a blind eye to certain things. The contract was for 1.2 billion, and it was for missile warning and tracking capability from MEO that protect our nation, allies, and joint warfighters from emerging threats. I am definitely looking into that now because that kind of like ties in with everything we were saying earlier. I don't know. I think Elon is more concerned with Peter Beck than Bezos. Do you? Look, it's coming.
Yeah, especially now because, so Isaacman looks like he's going to be out as far as NASA, and the replacement is more defensive minded.
Okay.
And prior to that, I was concerned. I mean, I liked Isaacman. I did. I still do. But he was basically, a bit too much pro Elon as far as the contracts. It was looking like they were going to just give over to SpaceX. That's just my opinion, and I'm not trying to be political here whatsoever. It was just what I was seeing. Yep. So now with Isaacman probably out and this new person coming in, that would be a big positive for Rocket Lab and Kratos.
And then, so Francisco said he doesn't know, thinks Elon is more concerned about Peter Beck than Bezos. He knows Rocket Lab is a good company. A while back, he gave Rocket Lab credit for making it to orbit and was surprised that they beat Blue Origin. And then GY Kiwi says, Mynaric current CEO just spoke on the EU constellation and, like others, doesn't want Elon's control. But then with Mynaric,
again, not to be political, but that's one thing about Beck is that he does not play politics, And I admit I'm a big Elon fan, but I can't ignore the fact that the political side may have hurt him in some ways, at least in the short term. But again, Beck is not political. He's not playing one side. I mean, look, now they're not Rocket Lab USA anymore. They've changed their name. They're working internationally with multiple different countries, allies, of course. And I think he's very smart for doing that. Very smart for doing that.
And what I was going to say is, the thing is, you're saying Monarch's currency, you just spoke about, or spoke on the EU constellation, but it's in Monarch's best interest to not want Elon's control because they're about to partner, or they're about to be acquired by Rocket Lab. So I don't think he would be in great light if he said, no, I prefer to work with SpaceX. I've always supported Elon's ventures. I just think there's a lot of big money gearing up to take him on, and the competitors stand to gain.
You're right, but at the same time, so all right, let's look at Neutron. It's going to break all the records as far as how fast they were able to go from design to launch, and the amount of money they had to spend to build it from design to launch. Sometimes it's not about how much money you have, the quality and durability, the speed, the ability to think forward. I mean, it's an amazing vehicle. It's an amazing vehicle. It's still a year or two out. I mean, we're supposed to get a launch late fall, early winter. That's probably going to happen. We hope it's going to happen. Contracts in 26, 27, and building on that.
And then I kind of want to
there's so much overlooked when it comes to Neutron.
Yeah, I kind of want to throw it back as well. So we're talking about money and like, you touched on a really good point there, Chris. Like, it doesn't matter about how much money you have always. It's about if you can deliver it. And I'm going to bring it back to our good old friend, Virgin Galactic. Like, they've had incredible amounts of capital given to them. They've diluted, I don't know how many times, and they've had investments from big operators. Do you think that, like, now, guys, this is a concept I'm saying. This is not me saying Rocket Lab are going, because I'm going to tell you now, I don't think Rocket Lab are going down this avenue. But what I'm saying is, if Rocket Lab had that amount of capital, I believe they would have been able to make a space tourism vehicle and get it successful quicker than Virgin Galactic have got it done for a lot less money. But I'm just saying that shows you, just because you have an awful lot of money doesn't mean it's always going to be deployed right by the leaders. And that's one thing I do believe Musk is great at. He's great at engineering. He can get a great project across, but he is incredibly shrewd. He can take businesses to next levels. And honestly, I don't think that big money would entirely want to bet against him. They still will want to bet with him, because no matter whether you agree with Musk or you don't agree with Musk, you telling me that Tesla's not going to do unbelievable in the foreseeable? And would you liquidate your Tesla position due to Musk? Oh, here we go.
Electron's 65th launch. Today's mission soared into the skies at 11:57 local time from Launch Complex 1, Pad B, just 47 minutes ago. Electron breezed through all of the usual launch milestones like max Q, MECO and stage separation, battery hot swap, and then SECO and kick stage separation from the second stage, placing the kick stage and its payload into an elliptical transfer orbit of Earth.
The team in Mission Control are eagerly waiting the next milestone, which is Curie engine ignition. We've got a burn of just under 3 minutes today, and then 45 seconds later, we'll have Curie shutdown and then payload deployment of BlackSky's Gen 3 satellite. Ignition should be coming up in just a few moments, so let's throw it over to Mission Control and listen for them.
Curie ignition confirmed.
Confirmation from our operator there, successful Curie engine ignition. Now, the Curie burn duration is always an approximation, and that's because Electron is basically running itself. From T minus 2 minutes all the way up to payload deployment, the rocket is flying autonomously. Our extremely talented team programmed the flight computer to deploy the payload exactly where it needs to be. They'll work their way through making sure we have enough propellant at the various stages of flight, including the Curie burn. Running Monte Carlo simulations gives us various outcomes based on the parameters we set, but these are just simulations.
Curie cutoff happens precisely when it needs to, which today is approximately 51 minutes and 29 seconds after launch. Like Hannah said, the kick stage knows exactly where it needs to go and exactly how it needs to get there, and it's all up to the computer to make decisions based on the parameters we set.
It's about
While
to
today
deploy over
Curie
me.
will demonstrate our pinpoint accurate payload deployment record, it's been a very busy engine recently, proving out our spot-on re-entry missions with our Pioneer spacecraft, providing a perfect round trip to space. It was our second developed engine, also 3D printed like the Rutherford, and it joins our full lineup of 3D printed engines along with the newest addition, Archimedes.
You might recognize a trend here. All of our engines are named after famous physicists. All right, there's not long to go now in this kick stage circularization, so let's check back in with Mission Control.
And I will say, I love the way that Rocket Lab presents this as well.
Yeah, for sure. It is getting better every single launch.
Really, really. Yeah, this is really cool the way they set the, the way they've set this up.
Curie cutoff confirmed.
Nominal final orbit achieved.
There we go. Confirmation from Mission Control. Shutdown of the Curie engine means the payload deployment is up next. In around 30 seconds, we'll deploy the next Gen 3 satellite as part of BlackSky's Earth observation constellation.
Wow.
Your pizza's about to be delivered.
Payload Gen 3 Unit 2, deployment confirmed.
Got it.
That's payload deployment confirmed. Welcome back to space to BlackSky, and all the best with commissioning your next Gen 3 satellite in the coming days.
Yeah.
That's our 10th mission complete now for BlackSky, and 2 for 2 on Electron launches for the constellation this year, though certainly not the last.
A huge congratulations to both the BlackSky and Rocket Lab teams for making this achievement possible. Hot on the heels of our previous launch just over 2 weeks ago, we promise there's plenty more to come. Stay tuned to our social channels to find out when and who will be launching next. But until next time, this is Rocket Lab Mission Control signing off.
That's 2 for 2. 2 more to go. That's great.
And what I want to say, guys, is here in the Haste Club, we watch launches from start to finish. We watch it right up to payload deployment. I don't believe it's any good us streaming a launch and only watching half it. Because if something does happen, touch wood, it wouldn't. But if something does happen, at least we're there. And we can say that we've covered every single launch from start to finish. But again, Dylan, did it beat expectations of a first launch?
I would say meet to beat, and this is going to sound way too rudimentary, but upon the payload detaching, it just kind of clicked and became amazing to me at, and this is going to sound so rudimentary or wrong, but how much work goes in to putting that into space. And once you get to that final stage of the mission and have that payload go, it's like it's there. I mean, it for me, it's just an amazing feat and feature of what progress we were making in the space sector, and specifically to Rocket Lab, to be able to witness it through their mission control, the way they the whole visual, and I think I'm sorry, I'm just speechless because it was beautiful, and the fact that again all this is going on right above our heads and not always knowing how that process is to getting there, and seeing that, just like you said, from start to the complete finish. I'm impressed. Maybe I should just be yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna say I'm very impressed, but yeah, I'm impressed to speechless as the newcomer.
And then Chris, to you, is it just another job well done? Another day in the office?
Yeah, this is fun. This is fun. Again, watching Dylan see this for the first time. For all of us out there that do our crazy research and have these crazy ideas, since Dylan has been involved in this, he's asked me to just send him random stuff to research, and he's great at it. He really is. I've been very impressed. So I've been just kind of throwing some curveballs at the guy,
Love it.
and really get him thinking. And so now seeing him watch the launch and putting all this together.
Yeah.
Again, go back to the photon portion of Rocket Lab. See how they got the satellite to orbit around the moon, because we do have a satellite currently on the Capstone mission.
It's amazing.
The first and only satellite to orbit the moon. So we're, as far as Rocket Lab, we're way ahead of the curve when it comes to a lot of what their future missions are going to be. So yeah, it was fun, man. It was fun having you on, fun watching you and having this experience for the first time. And I'll send you some more stuff to get you going tomorrow again too. No problem.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
And then, guys, this has been the Haste Club. We're here every single day, daily Rocket Lab content. We're going to stream live. There's nothing scripted. You can see it's a lot more chilled out, a lot laid back. If we don't know something, we'll tell you we don't know. We will go and research it. We're developing a team here. This project is headed by Christopher. Now, please, guys, if you don't do anything else tonight, make sure you jump across on YouTube and show Christopher some love, because we want him to be able to stream live with us here on YouTube. I feel like this community is coming on leaps and bounds. Every day, the community is growing bigger and bigger. But at the Haste Club, we stream launches from start to finish. We're not going to miss a launch. From me at the Hustle Brothers, make sure that you've liked all these streams. Make sure every time we share them out, you're reposting them to the community, because once we get the algorithm going, once we get more and more people in this community, we'll be able to get more ideas, more brains. Even if you don't want to come and call on yourself, maybe someone you share it to might want to come and call on themselves. And that way, the lineup is constantly changing. You're going to hear from more and more people. And then we'll be able to interview the likes of Christopher's organized events. So from me at the Hustle Brothers, it's been a wild day for me because it's my first ever back-to-back stream. And I want to commend Dylan on doing the back-to-back with me. Do you know what? I'm going to leave it to you two guys to share your closing thoughts.
Well, I think Chris will have a better one, so maybe I'll go first, only to leave the star till the end. I think it was amazing seeing the successful launch, and I think to me it just shows the continued potential. And to me, if I was somebody that was interested in using Rocket Lab as me being a customer of theirs, this is again just showing the capabilities of what the technology in space can continue to grow to. Super excited for the future.
Thank you, Dylan. And then Chris, any closing thoughts?
I agree. And just another fun launch. Thanks everyone for tuning in. It was a lot of fun. Thanks, Francisco, for all the new rabbit holes that we'll be diving into tomorrow. That was awesome. Yeah, appreciate everybody. A lot of fun.
Guys, I want to thank you so much for coming. Thank you for staying on for 2.5 hours with us. My name's Ian from the Hustle Brothers. We have our other Hustle brother here, Dylan. And then the head of the Haste Club, we have Christopher Bell, always sharing the great news. Straight to you guys. So make sure you've banged the subscribe button, and we'll see you tomorrow for another live stream on Rocket Lab. Right, guys, until tomorrow.
Take care. Thank you.